Hi, everyone. Congratulations, Kaylee. And you're welcome for the
Thank you.
reference. Oh, no, no, it was my pleasure. I spoke very highly of you. Um, I don't know if you deserve it. That's okay. We're not going to, it's okay. So we have 35 slides to cover today. I'm going to share my screen.
Doesn't matter if I deserved it now, right?
Yeah, I guess not. Too late. I'll send a letter. I'll send him a letter again.
You better not.
Like, you know what? That dirty dog tricked me into it. There was talk about a bag of Reese's Pieces. I didn't get that. Okay, so we're going to continue on with sexuality across the lifespan, moving into adulthood. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. So June reminded me we do have an exam this Friday to Monday on chapters 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right. In young adulthood, what does that say? Conflicting demands moderate sexual expression. So most young men and women have only a few sex partners. The median age at first marriage in the US is 28 for men and 26 for women. The median age for puberty is about 13. So this leaves about 15 years of playtime. These years, people are most fertile and most attractive. About 1 in 8 college undergrads practices secondary abstinence, which is usually due to religion or bad sexual experience, meaning they're doing it by choice. Cohabitation is an increasingly prevalent lifestyle. Cohabitation is where it's a live in sexual relationship between two persons who aren't married. During the 90s, the number of cohabiting couples increased by 72%. About 7% of Americans currently cohabit, and as of 2007, 29% of couples in Canada are cohabiting. And this is because they have those, oh, what are they called? Commonwealth laws? I forget what it's called. There's something. They have some tax purposes, things, benefits. Common law? I don't know. All right. Marriages preceded by cohabitation are less durable. They end more quickly. Not entirely clear why, but the hypotheses are that couples who cohabit already have less than traditional views of marriage. Or it could be that live-in relationships have a certain amount of time before, and therefore the time spent living together before is used up. Or it could be that somehow cohabitation reduces marital stability. Why do you think that people living together are more likely to break up? Are that they end in divorce earlier? Anybody? Here are three guesses.
They doesn't commit.
They don't commit.
They don't commit.
Yeah, yeah. I think maybe that is kind of what the first one is saying, in a side way, kind of saying it because they have a less than traditional view of marriage, and the traditional view of marriage is high commitment, isn't it, Mimi?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Cohabitation has diverse meanings. About 20% lasts for over 5 years. Some are same sex couples where marriage is illegal and they're less burdened by social expectations. And then there are also economic considerations. People benefit from sharing the rent, sharing the mortgage. The formalization of sexual unions has social and personal functions. Some traditional cultures view women as property of men. In such cultures, marriage was a transaction. Marriage was a way to identify the man as the supporter of women and children, or the woman and children. It shows public sexual exclusivity to others, as in, we're married, she's mine, you can't have her. And it may bring extended families together by ending wars. It was intended to stabilize their union for child rearing. Many societies have permitted polygamy. Bigamy is something different. This is a law, the crime of marrying someone while already married to another. Polygamy is marriage to more than one spouse at a time. So it's gamy, meaning marriage, and then poly, meaning multiple. Polygyny is the marriage of one man to more than one woman. Think of polygyny. 84% of 853 societies found it legal for a man to have more than one female mate, but these only really applied to the richer men. Polyandry, think of androgens, testosterone, many testosterones, marriage of one woman to more than one man. And a concubine is a woman who cohabits with a man but is not his wife, and it's usually seen in polygamous societies. Polyamory includes a variety of relationships, a variety of non-monogamous relationships. That's my phone. Christina, you gonna get the phone? She can't hear me. Hold on. Hello. Hey, Barry. Okay. Sorry about that. We go back to sharing. Fortunately, it was a call I had to take. Okay. Question. Well, let's define this first. Okay. Polyamory includes a variety of non-monogamous relationships. So polyamory, a formation of non-transient sexual relationships in groups of three or more. Some are swingers, mate swappers. Group marriage, three or more people living together in a marriage-like relationship. These can be closed or open, which means they're not allowed to have outside sex, or they are. And jealousy is often a problem. Let me ask you, does anyone have any, because usually there's one in the group or several in the group that believe that polyamory is a beneficial or a normal, and that this monogamous situations that we've created are actually going against our drives, and we're fighting essentially how we evolved to be. Does anyone have any opinions on that?
I agree with it.
You agree
Uh,
with what?
I agree that polyamory could be beneficial, definitely. But since
Okay.
we're brought up the way we are, I don't think I could do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. What are the, because there are benefits, Kaylee, you're right. So what are the benefits to polyamory?
You have I don't want to say more love, but like you have more people to understand you, I guess. Like you have more support in like what you're doing. You definitely, if you have kids and stuff too, you have more
Mm-hmm.
hands
Mm-hmm.
hands-on stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that's what I mean. I can't really think of the real definitions of stuff, but there's
Yeah,
just a
no,
lot
you,
more
you
support.
have help.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a very good.
Emotional support, physical support.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We have, coming from the Middle East, we have a lot of people are doing this because I'm coming from a Muslim country and their religion allows many wives, like 4 wives.
Mm-hmm.
So it has a lot of problems. Now, separated from me because I am against this. I believe in only one husband, and but they have problems doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Jealousy,
Mm-hmm.
and um, he is not always fair with every woman, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if he start this, he will divorce and take another one. And every time he likes one, and she's available, he can divorce and get the other one. So it's a big mess, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we see in Egypt or in the Middle East.
Are there consequences to divorce in the Middle East?
Not like America, of course.
Not
If he doesn't want to pay her money to live,
right.
he just leave her,
Okay.
and she will suffer.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking
Women
too.
are suffering there.
Yeah.
It's not like Europe. I know Italy, they pay a lot if they get divorced. The man have to pay everything and leave the house for the woman. But in Egypt, it's not like this.
Mm. Okay.
And in the Middle East, it depends on the religion. The Muslims do it. The Christians are struggling to get divorced, but we cannot have, you know, you cannot get married to like 2 women or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yeah, it has a lot of consequences, bad ones.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So are we talking about just like men having wives, or not just Mimi? I'm not talking about you, Mimi. I'm just saying, like, in general, like when it in the slide, is it talking about males
No.
having wives, or is it talking about like anybody having more than one
Yeah,
spouse?
anyone. But Mimi's bringing up which
Yeah.
is the most. First of all, Mimi's bringing up a real cultural
hmm
difference, and in this case, the cultural difference is polygamy versus polyandry, and we can see that um, it says right here 84% of
Okay.
853 societies. So it's just so common for a man to have multiple wives in comparison to a woman to have multiple husbands. But Kaylee, your point, go ahead.
Because I've seen different shows too, showing that like two women who were together sexually found a man, so then they're all together. You know what I mean? It's not just like one guy having, relations with two women separately. They're all having relations together. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's like a more of a polygamy, right? Or
Yeah,
is that
mhm.
with cohabitation? What is that then? Is that polygamy still too?
Are
If
they
it's they're
married?
all together?
Are they
Yeah, if they're
married?
all well, wouldn't it be just two people married because it's not legal in most states? So only two people can be legally married?
Yeah, so it's not polygamy. That would be just like you're describing polyamory.
Polyamory. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so just relationships between people, not through marriage.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
So there are some benefits. Um, Clear evolutionary benefits by essentially, all hands on deck. Everybody can help in raising the offspring. Yeah, that is clearly a benefit. Um, there are going to be some costs, and that is that you go kind of toward um, unequal treatment. Some of the spouses, or in this case, some of the people involved in the relationship, one may receive more attention in a an emotional way, or in a physical way, or in an economic way. So there's going to be kind of like a hierarchy almost.
I feel like if you're going in, sorry, keep going.
No, I think I'm fine.
Okay, I just saying, I feel like going into that relationship, you should know that. Like, I feel like you should realize that one person can't give that much to more than one. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That there's always going to be an unbalance. But if you want to be in that relationship where there's more support overall, then I
Mhm.
say go for it. But you got to realize it's not going to be all about you if you're in a relationship with more than one person.
Mhm.
I think people
Right.
don't realize that, and they go in thinking it's going to be easy for people to give the same amount. It doesn't work like that.
Mhm. Mhm. Because on the surface, it sounds harmless. Like who cares if you have multiple husbands? They don't care, right? Does it impact society in some way? I mean, are you messing up your kids in some way? Is there abuse or something? No, nobody cares. It shouldn't impact anybody. But yet here we are, where we have evolved to experience jealousy. And Kaylee's point as well, if you go in knowing, I think at some point, all dating scripts, all relationships, we know they begin hot and heavy. In the beginning of a relationship, it's like training your dog, heavy rewards in the beginning, and then you slowly pull back because either it's not, exciting anymore, or you don't have to offer those rewards to get what you want. And so maybe that's what lends to the inevitable jealousy, that it's, you used to spend time with me, every other night. Now you're spending more time with the new person. And here comes the jealousy. Maybe it's a natural order of things.
Can I say something?
Yeah, of course.
I feel this is the maximum of the selfishness. Because if I don't feel comfortable with you, I'm gonna see another person and I will never have enough. So I'm gonna see another person. So it's all about me. It's not about the family. It's not about the other person' happiness. It's all about me, which is selfishness.
It does make you wonder. Yeah, I see your point. So what if what do you think about multiple husbands with one wife? Is that also selfish?
I never thought about this because it never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
You know, in Egypt or in the Middle East, men are allowed to take 4 women as wives.
Mhm.
But if a woman do it, she will get in prison because it's not allowed.
Mhm.
It's illegal.
Mhm.
So, as the culture and my religion, I am Christian. So, as both of them, the culture and the religion, made me not think of this at
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
So, and I'm happy with it. I don't want to think about it. It's not
Okay,
in
okay.
my.
I'm just gonna add
It's
some.
not in my. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not in my interest at all.
Okay. All right.
So that's why I'm saying it's a selfishness, because
Yeah.
I will, as a person, I will never get enough of a relationship. Every time I'm gonna see a person, I will find something positive in another person. So
Yeah. I mean, in theory, it should be as selfish for a woman to have multiple male partners as a male to have multiple female partners. But the difference is that we have evolved kind of to have, according to the parental investment theory, to have different goals, to have different objectives. And that is, a male's objective historically is to increase the number of offspring, and then the females is to increase the quality of the offspring. And it makes sense because the female is the one that's devoting most of the time rearing the child. So she's going to be focusing on the quality of care. It is an interesting thing, isn't it? According to the Naked Ape, it says that monogamy is the best way to go. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I think it could work in some interesting situations, but I mean, there's always going to be at one point, like, it's almost like having a small clique. Like, at one point, it's going to be 2 or 3 versus 1 because you guys aren't going to agree on something. But I mean, it takes all kinds to make the world go around. So I'm sure it
Yeah.
does work for some people.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it does too.
I mean, for me, I don't think 2 boyfriends could handle me because I just think it would be a lot for them.
Can one handle you?
I know, that's why I'm still alone.
Yeah. See?
It's just crazy.
And Corey, if you have a lover, would you really accept that he or she look and like another person? I mean, if Sammy comes and tell me that, oh look, I love this, I have this colleague, I like her, you can't imagine what will happen for him.
I'm pretty I'm
Mimi, you're
pretty
the best.
open-minded sexually, but like emotional cheating would get to me. Like I would be fine with them doing their own thing with somebody else, but as soon as you like start like being on like a deeper emotional level, my claws would come out and I would kill something.
Yes, exactly.
Like I have no problem, having a good time, but like that's mine, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all about the mindset. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Corey's saying now. It's definitely, you have to go into it knowing what's going to happen, knowing that it's not going to be fair to be able to handle it.
Now, are there sex differences when it comes to jealousy?
I personally, I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
both are jealous.
We went over this in the quiz, right? In the test, that
We did.
men will get more upset just by, no, they'll be upset when she kisses somebody, right? And then she'll be upset
Yes,
when he says that
if
he has
he
a best
says
friend.
my girlfriend, my best friend.
So okay, so a man is more likely to get upset when his girlfriend, wife does what?
kisses somebody.
Okay.
Kiss somebody.
And a woman is more likely to get upset than a man if her man does what?
Says he has a best friend, or says that one of his
Yes.
friends is a girl.
Okay. Has an emotional connection.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I definitely side with the emotion thing. Like physically, I mean, I'm pretty go with the flow. Especially that like bisexual men. But I mean, as far as like in a relationship, like emotional cheating, I'm not about that.
hmm So, and we said that this is all rooted in essentially the survival of our species, in that the male has to know um, who the father is of that baby, and if she is unfaithful sexually, then he doesn't know, and he's not going to provide resources to it. And if a male is providing emotional love and support, then the female is going to be upset because she's going to be upset that he's going to be giving resources away.
I have a question really
Yes.
quick. Just on human development yesterday, we talked about how there really is no difference between emotional regulation between male and females, but we're just taught that and we're exposed to it. But Foley said that there really was no difference, and that people should realize that there's really no difference between that.
There's no difference in the rate of emotions between males and females. There is a difference in the expression of emotion between males and females, in that females typically verbalize and males typically physically aggress.
Is that because of our genes, you're saying? Like, is that just how we're rooted, or is that because of what we're exposed to in cultures and stuff like that?
Both. So, and here's the thing, and it really boils down to more often than not aggression. So it's not that women feel emotions more than men. It's just they simply just don't show it as the same way as men. Um, they show it differently, and that is culturally determined. But when you take things like aggression, men are always more, no matter what culture you're in, it doesn't matter. They're always more aggressive than the women of that culture. But from culture to culture, we know this, right?
Mhm.
Because
Culture,
of hormones and stuff? Or because
yes,
of chemicals? Okay.
yes, because of the way our brains have been organized in the womb, and then the way that our brains are being activated by our sex steroid hormones.
Okay, so she was basically saying just deep down, we all have the same emotions and stuff like that. We just choose to express it differently. Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
I wanted to see what you had to say about that because I was
Yep.
confused.
Yep. No, you got it. You understand it.
Okay.
Okay. The institution of marriage is evolving. In ancient Greece, marriage was not companionate, meaning there wasn't that commitment. There wasn't not a commitment. There wasn't a the word intimacy. Okay, that closeness. The wife was not a social partner, but there to have children. Companionate marriage got a boost from Christianity. Didn't really take off until the late 19th century. Companionate marriage makes the availability of divorce necessary because it demands intimacy and affection, but not all marriages have it, so divorce becomes necessary. So it converted marriage from a status to a contract. Speaking of contracts, we have prenuptial agreements, the contract that's signed before marriage that describes the distribution of wealth. Postnuptial agreement is a financial agreement signed after marriage. A covenant marriage is where a marriage that requires a stronger view of commitment and makes divorce harder to obtain. So this would be something like, actually, Mimi mentioned this earlier. It's easier for a Muslim man to get a divorce than it is for a Christian man, right, Mimi?
Yes.
Yep. Like there's a whole thing, right? Like you gotta to get a divorce if you are a practicing Christian. There's a whole thing you got to go through.
Yes.
Not just going to a lawyer. And you can do that. You can totally go to a lawyer, but then the church doesn't see you as separated. The law might. The church, though, itself, that's a whole different thing, isn't it, Mimi?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Marriage is, wait, did I go through all those? Yep. Okay. Marriage is becoming a minority status. Most people do marry at least once in their lives, but marrying later in life and splitting up sooner. In 2005, for the first time, less than half of the households consisted of married couples. Canadians get married even later than Americans. Right? For the age in America, it's 28. For an average man in Canada, it's 30.6. So everything's 2 to 3 years later than Americans. Babies in the US are born to unwed mothers. 25% are white, 48% are Hispanic, and 69% are African American. Many African American families are headed by a single woman. The role modeling may be a factor. Young Black women with single mothers. Okay, so it means that the young Black women have single mothers. The lifespan and the incarceration rate of Black men is different than other races. It's important that all these data are taken from African Americans living in inner city or urban dwellings. And I created these slides, so I put that in red. Okay, and the reason why is because things are different when you look outside of an urban area. Numbers are significantly different. So what does this mean? It means that in urban regions, African American men are more likely to be arrested. There's one. Most married couples are satisfied with their sex lives. Marriage has many functions. For the purpose of this course, we are concerned with marital sex. Women in short-term relationships tend to be happiest with their sex lives. So why would this be? Because women in short-term relationships are more likely to experience the goal, right? This makes sense, doesn't it? No?
I wonder why that is. Because isn't it that like women are more likely to orgasm if they have an emotional connection with the person?
Often
Yeah.
it's the reverse of that. The emotional connection comes as a result of the orgasm.
Oh,
Doesn't mean you can't have it, but that bonding that's oxytocin dependent and vasopressin dependent, that happens, that's released during the orgasm.
that makes sense too.
Yeah. So it kind of feeds
So the longer you're with the person, you become less satisfied then?
sexually. Why?
Like you just said, right? I guess. Like you just explained.
Did I? I didn't answer that yet. We were talking about
Never mind
bonding.
then.
All right, hold on, my 14-year-old daughter. What do you think, Alex? Is it so they don't keep doing it and making a million babies? No, because nature would want us to make as many babies as we could. Yeah. No, I like the way you're thinking, though. You're thinking it from an ultimate perspective. But no, nature would want us to make as many as possible safely and quality offspring. So towards the end, you might want that because as we age, 35 and older, the quality of our gametes, our eggs and our sperm cells, the DNA itself becomes weakened. And so when we replicate ourselves, it's more prone to mutations and things, right? Cognitive deficits and so on.
Because they get more bored with it.
What is it?
Do they get more bored? Like
Who?
Like the couples,
Kind of.
like they don't mix
Why is
things
she
up
more
a bit.
likely to why is she more likely to experience an orgasm in a short-term relationship than a long-term one?
Sex is still new and exciting.
Yes, and he's working
Yeah.
harder.
When you're in it longer, it's like it just becomes repetition. Like unless you try to change it up a little bit in the bedroom.
There's less reason to impress.
Flexibility.
Yeah.
They can't really move, right? Much when you get old. You can't really do many positions, right?
When you get old, yeah. Older, yeah.
Yeah.
So as June was saying, yeah, it becomes boring because it's not as novel. And Corey was saying, in the beginning, it's exciting. You're motivated, right? You're motivated. You have the sex drive. That's you are more excited because it's more novel, and but then as the process of habituation uh, takes hold,
Yeah, habituation.
yeah, habituation, the psychological and physiological process that reduces a person's response to a stimulus or drug after repeated exposure.
So what
So
about like the
hormones.
bond? Sorry, who's
Hormones,
talking?
definitely. What else?
I'm talking about the bond. Like you said, like you kind of get used to being in the relationship. Are you even really that bonded with the person anymore after so long? Like you're kind of like housemates instead of.
It's like the first year of love is like quote unquote real, and then after that it's supposed to be attachment love, isn't it?
Companionate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it
Is that how
starts
that works?
almost infatuous. Yep.
I don't know who told me that, but it was like one of those like weird things. It's like the first year you're together, it's actual love, and then after that, it's companion.
No, it's still love. It's a different kind of love.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe that's why the sexual drive goes down because it's not the same love.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There are multiple factors. Right here. Children get in the way. Our looks decline. Decline in steroidal hormones. Habituation. All of these things.
And the hormone thing is more on the women's side, though, isn't it, than the men's side? No,
Both.
really. I
Yeah.
always thought it was the women.
You're gonna learn today.
Yeah.
Yep. Women's marital satisfaction declines during middle age. Birth of a first child is associated with a drop in satisfaction. On a whole, wives are less satisfied with their marriages than husbands. Men are twice as likely to describe themselves as extremely satisfied than women by their 50s. Some argue that this is a sign of the times and that young women today may be much happier than older married couples today. So many factors bring relationships to an end. It's highest during the first few years of marriage. 1 in 5 will end in the first 5, 1 in 3 in the first 10. And if under 18, the likelihood of ease double. African Americans are most likely to divorce. College education stabilizes marriage.
Oh, so I'm paying right now to have a good marriage later in life?
Yep, and good sex. People with a 4-year degree have less than half the likelihood of divorce.
Yay.
Remember, people that have education, right, from before.
Yep. Yep.
We're
So
investing
really-
in our futures.
So really, when it comes
Mine
to
already went downhill, Corey. It's okay.
Oh
I'm
no.
over 35, so it just keeps going downhill from here.
I'm almost there. Don't worry, June. I'm following behind.
So when it comes to all things with sexuality, education is the best in every respect. In every respect. It harms nothing and helps everything. Remember that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said the likelihood of the divorce is less likely, but is it because it's a better relationship, or is it because we're more knowledgeable about how divorces work because it's harder to get out of them?
No, it's because they're more like-minded,
Okay.
because they both have remember how we said that similarities last?
Okay. Yep.
And often people that who have 4-year degrees that get married met in college. So that means they also probably majored in something that allowed them to share a lot of classes.
Okay. I see what you're
Also,
saying.
they learn just the general things in life. So with education also comes emotional stability and emotion regulation and reasoning.
Okay.
It hurts nothing, helps everything. Dissimilarity between husbands and wives shortens marriages. When there are religious differences, twice as likely to break up. When there are ethnic differences, 69% more likely. When there are large age differences, that increases the chance as well. Persons have longer marriages. Why? Maybe because there's similar values or religious reasons.
What?
Well, you remember we talked earlier about how cohabitation weakens marriages somehow?
What does it mean virgins have longer marriages?
It means those who get married when they're virgins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, not like virgins in marriages. Okay.
No.
Because they only get to sample out like their partner, and that's it. And they don't want to. No, that doesn't make sense. Never mind.
Your microphone.
Forget that.
Wonky. No, we
Forget
cannot
that.
understand a thing you're saying, June.
It's my internet. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry that we can't provide feedback to what you're saying.
It's okay.
So I'm no longer a virgin. Big news flash. So my chances at happiness have just gone down, plummeting.
No, it just says that virgins have longer marriages. It doesn't say that they're happier.
Oh, that's true. I like that that's positive.
There you go.
Reinforcement.
Marital disruption can have negative and positive consequences. Divorced men and women can suffer physical, psychological, and economic damage. Divorced people suffer higher rates of psychological and physical health issues, even death. They're less happy. They're less sexually active. They're more socially isolated. They're more prone to substance abuse. Women have less money to work with, and children may become depressed, do poorly in school, abuse substances, become lawbreakers, and behave badly.
I don't get this. I'm sorry, I just don't get that.
You don't get what?
Why does that happen?
The children part? What?
No, all of it. Why are they more socially isolated and stuff? Why do they have more physical health issues?
Stress. Because when you get a divorce, it's expensive. It gets ugly. People don't want to give up what they have gotten in the habit of having, and one of those things will be the kids. And so the kids see the parents fight, and they get depressed, and they start to seek other forms of or other avenues to occupy their minds rather than be depressed. So that's why they do other things for distractions or attention or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Divorce may be the start of a new life, however. About 1.2 million divorces in the US a year. Most divorced people remarry, 54% within 5 years of that last divorce. Factors that contribute to remarrying: the person's age, the person's ethnicity, the person's finances, and the person's sexual activity. However, later marriages are less durable. A woman who was married before and is 25 years or older has a 1 in 3 chance of getting a second divorce. Experience in the first marriage does not seem to stabilize future marriages. Now, menopause marks the woman's transition to infertility. Starting at the mid-40s, women begin to experience less regular menstrual periods. The climacteric phase is the transition to infertility, and it lasts for about 7 years. The perimenopause phase is just prior to menopause, that is marked by irregular menstrual cycle. The menopause is the final cessation of menstruation at the end of a woman's reproductive years. So as a result, you have these decreased hormone levels that affect some of the woman's sexual response. The reduction in these circulating ovarian hormones, especially estrogens, lead to osteoporosis, a loss of bone density, a reduction in vaginal lubrication during sex, a rise in pH, which is a decrease in acidity of vaginal fluids, thinning of the walls, and this may cause painful coitus. Women typically experience some decline in sexual desire at menopause for the reasons that were just named, and the lack of gonadal hormone reaching the brain systems that control sex drive. So in our hypothalamus controls the 4 F's: the feeding, the fighting, the fleeing, and the fricking. Fricking is mediated by estrogen, and if we are not putting out a lot of estrogen, we are not going to have a sex drive. Hormonal therapy can reduce menopausal symptoms. This is called menopausal hormone therapy. This is not replacement hormone therapy. Replacement hormone therapy is when you need a hormone to replace something that you should have. Once you reach menopause, you should not have it in a natural sense, but you can take it. And now what it is just hormone therapy, not replacement. So the use of hormones to treat symptoms occurring during or soon after menopause, we call menopausal hormone therapy. It was once called hormone replacement therapy. The regimens of estrogens and progestins. The estrogens relieve the hot flashes and the vaginal dryness. Progestins protect women from the side effects of estrogens, like endometrial cancer. These are administered via pills, patches, gels, and injections. About 1 in 4 women between 50 and 55 years of age use menopausal hormone therapy. There are ethnic differences in the psychological experience of menopause. White women tend to focus on the medical aspect of menopause, suffer more psychosomatic symptoms, and concern for their attractiveness. African Americans and Latin women adopt a more positive view and a welcoming view of menopause. Men do not experience a sudden or complete cessation of fertility. Andropause is the gradual reduction in fertility and sexual function. The declining sperm count, ejaculate volume, and decreased sexual desire. There's a loss of muscle bulk and bone density, changes in hair, skin, and possibly cognitive changes like memory impairments. There is some consideration to treat with testosterone, but there's little information on the long-term consequences, namely cancer. Male sexuality peaks at 16 or 17. Female sexuality peaks at the early 20s. 53% of women and 63% of men over 75 report strong physical attraction to their partners. Essentially, if you like sex when you are young, then you will like it when you are old. Aging is accompanied by physiological changes in the sexual response. For men, penis is slower to become and is less erect. The ejaculatory volume is smaller and less forceful. The erection is lost more rapidly, and the refractory period is longer. For a woman, the anatomical changes in the vulva, vagina, and the urethra, meaning the thinning of the vaginal walls, the vagina shortens and it narrows. Vaginal lubrication decreases, fewer contractions during orgasm, and a more rapid decrease in arousal after orgasm. So all the things that make it great start to whittle down. The sex lives of old people have traditionally been ignored. Medical conditions, drugs, and social factors can impair the sexuality of older people. Older people take more prescription drugs, and these may interfere with sexual functioning. Depression, poor self-image, performance anxiety, bereavement, lack of partner, negative expectations of others like their children, and medical professionals all hinder sexuality. Men usually concern themselves with performance, and women mention relationship problems. Coping strategies may require flexibility. Recall that women live longer than men, so as well as marry men that are older. So that means that it makes for longer widowhood, about 10 years. Single men over the age of 75 are in short supply, so they're a hot commodity. And 2 out of 3 of those men are married. Only 29% of women over the age of 75 are married because their husbands died. Women could date younger or married men, but many women feel that that's immoral. So when they asked in a survey, how sexually active are you? People responding, men and women, 57 to 64 of years of age, over 80% of men and just a little over 60% of women. 65 to 74, 66% of men and just under 40% for women. 75 to 85, men are still holding the line, just under 40 now. And then 80, and then for women, it's like 15. Get off me. My knees hurt.
I have a headache.
Got a headache. Opportunities for sexual expression by nursing home residents could be improved. Some nursing home residents, especially men, desire sexual expression. Baby boomers, those born after World War II, more interested in sexual variety, less tied to the notion that it's for reproduction only. Anyone that's ever worked in a nursing home knows they are a sexy thing, those people. They are.
That they are. I've worked in one.
There's always one of my students, if not several, that says, I work or have worked, and I've walked in on.
Yeah. And you walk back out and let him do his thing.
All right, Mr. Jones, thank you for the show. All right, I'm going to stop recording.